right. This one I've been waiting on for a while. This video is a crazy title. A crazy, crazy title. It's called Star Citizen's Perfect Ship for Pyro and 4.0. And it's from Morphologist. And he's talking about the Carrack. And he's using the word perfect. And I know that when this video came out, a lot of people, at least in my Discord, was giving him crap. And based on the title, I think it's kind of deserved. I do think that there are better ships for a very lawless, dangerous place. I don't think the Carrack is a very good fighter. So let's see what he has to say. But my initial thoughts were, it did get an update, which is cool, but So let's see what Morph has on the whole Carrack update. Yeah, you see less bugs with the blast shield. The Carrack interior is still like S tier.
A whole 5 years ago now, when Star Citizen's jump points were first shown off at CitizenCon, it was done with a particular ship, the Carrack. Since then, much has changed, the vision of jump points and Pyro being among them, but one thing has remained the same.
I mean,
just how perfect.
If you look back at that 2019 clip, it's pretty similar. It's just the gate isn't there.
The Carrack is for exactly what it was first shown off to do. Explore.
Chat. Rest in peace, these asteroids. They just took them out, right?
Pyro with a group of your best buddies. And that's now even been made more so the case thanks to a couple of long-awaited updates to the ship and news we've gotten about the vision for Star Citizen 1.0.
All right.
So dive in with me as we take an updated look at what the Carrack has on offer and what makes it such a good ship. And if along the way you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to show that you love the quality of the videos that I make.
So I don't know who doesn't love the quality of the videos you make, Morph. You changed the way everybody makes videos in the Star Citizen directory on YouTube. Like, I'm just going to like it now. The man changed the game. But as far as the Carrack goes, it does sound like he's going down the route. Can you link this guy? You don't know who Morph is? Yes, I can link him. The thing about Morph is you assume everybody knows who he is. Because, yeah, he's been such a game changer. But I think he sounds like he's going the Carrack discussion about like the end, like when the game's actually released, not necessarily right now in 4.0. So, okay, let's have that in mind when he does have this conversation. Can't keep up with everyone, sadly, but he is him.
Just like I hope you'll also support me by checking out the generous sponsor of today's video, NordVPN.
How did I know?
I know you've already heard about them from tons of other creators like me, but I really have used their services for years, even before I got sponsored, which is why I was so happy to work with them. I got sick of using shady free VPNs, which I know I couldn't trust with my information, just so I could get access to the websites I need to while I'm working from abroad in Taiwan. Now I can do my job while I'm working abroad and even watch shows that aren't available in Taiwan for some reason, like Stargate SG-1, an absolute sci-fi classic that if you haven't watched, you absolutely should. Highly recommend it. So if you're looking for a reliable VPN service and you want to support my channel at the same time, head on over to nordvpn.com/morphologist to get a huge discount on a 2-year plan, plus get 4 additional months for free. That's nordvpn.com/morphologist, nice. And if none of this really works for you, you can always get your money back with their 30-day money-back guarantee.
To be honest, Ali43 is him if we're measuring. I think that's your opinion, right? And everyone's opinion is going to be different. For me, Morph was here before Ali, right? And he was the one who changed the game for everybody. And they're two totally different creators. I think Ollie is him on the Let's Play side. And I think Morph is him on this, like, kind of this, he does this thing where he's telling a story, but telling you just the general updates of the game and showing it in a beautiful way, right? It's like he does everything in this unique, cool style. And the amount of people that are emulating what he's doing now is, it just tells you that, right? Nobody's really emulating Ollie yet. Maybe because they can't, but I love both guys. It's just, me saying something good about someone else is not an opportunity for you to one up people or anything like that, right? I don't think you're being mean to Morph, but I will always set this reminder for everybody is this channel will never be a place for you to make fun of any creator in the space. I just won't allow it here. So yeah, don't do that.
If you've not been around for a while, then you might not remember just how hyped the Carrack was back in 2019. It was one of the most anticipated ships, period, full stop, for Star Citizen, and for good reason. It boasted of having a little bit of everything for most people who wanted to play the game. And that comes down to it being a former UEE Navy ship and lore that was built specifically for finding uncharted jump points. That's this thing here on the screen. I'll let it speak for itself for a moment. Now, as you might imagine, going through uncharted jump points would be kind of a risk.
Yeah, you can only
don't
make
know
fun of me
where it's
here.
going to end up or what system it's going to be in, if that system is hostile or even charted in the first place. Which is why the Carrack is so jam-packed with all different types of program, enough program that could have filled a capital ship on its own. But that's just the lore. A lot of ships in Star Citizen have great lore behind them, but few, unfortunately, have functionality to match that in the current version of the game. Ships like the Terrapin come to mind. But while there are no uncharted jump points to find just yet, everything else about its exploration characteristics make a whole lot of sense for Pyro. Let's do a recap of what this ship has. We'll start with the outside. The Carrack has a length of 126 meters, a beam of 76, and a height of 30 meters, making it a pretty decently large ship. Not capital ship levels of size, but big enough. This is maybe one of its big downsides, coupled with the fact that it is primarily for multi-crew purposes. You can't man the guns by yourself if you're piloting it, so you'll need at least one buddy if you want to defend yourself, if that's important to you. That defense can happen from the
Yeah, this is one of the ships where the pilot pilots and that's it, right?
remote turret on the roof, or 3 of the man turrets on the wings or on the belly, each sporting 2 size 4 weapons, which is very effective against light to medium craft. Going to the nose of the ship though, near the canopy, it's got a really nicely sized bridge for a big group of people, giving you a great view out to the surroundings when doing exploration. And now thanks to the 4.0 update, it also has its advertised blast shield, which could protect against fighters, but most importantly against the harsh environmental effects of systems like Pyro, which has a very active star. It occasionally has...
All right, I will jump in here for that one. The blast shields don't do anything at the current time. So once again, I do think he's speaking on the 1.0 side. I made that caveat before, but I know you guys are just popping in occasionally and maybe aren't listening as closely. I think he's talking about what it could do for the future. And that's it. So there is the possibility of when there's a solar flare in Pyro, which isn't in Pyro right now, maybe that'll protect the components in the cockpit. I don't know. But in the end, it's a cool animation, and that's all it is to me.
Coronal mass ejections, which can do damage to humans who are unprotected.
Maybe it will improve the
Below
whole...
the Carrack's nose is a drop-down ramp. This is the primary access to the ship from the ground, and it's how you can park vehicles that you can use for exploration or, say, ground mining if you like. One of the many things that makes the Carrack great for going to a place like Pyro. But that's not where it ends. If you go to the top, there's also a small hangar which is meant to fit a bespoke ship made alongside the Carrack, the C-8 Pisces. It's a little shuttle runabout, think kind of Star Trek-esque. But since it came out, there's a number of other ships now you can consider, like the C8R variant of the Pisces, which has an additional medical bed to rescue people. Or if you wanted some extra firepower, you could put some Furies in there, which will do a good deal of damage against any kind of light or medium fighters coming up against the Carrack. The point is, since my original video, you've just got more options now. But we're not done with the outside, because there was an additional update to it in 4.0 that's going to make it even more appealing, because its 456 SU of cargo space is now accessible thanks to actually operable doors from its cargo bay on the belly. Now you can load a different variety of cargo sizes and make use of its extra large fuel tanks to get across, say, the Pyro system more than once. A feat that not many ships...
I don't know if that's true anymore. They're doing a lot of changes to the quantum fuel systems and all that stuff. We'll see on that one, Morph. I don't know, man. They're bouncing around all over the place with these fuel tanks.
Say for very large ones can say the same for. And when those cargo pods are finally detachable, they could be even more useful for dropping off materials for base building, as has been outlined in the 1.0 update. If we move aft towards the stern past the cargo pod catwalks, we'll arrive at a physicalized inventory.
I am a little disappointed that he pointed out that, like, the cargo stuff, but then didn't point out the fact that it did feel like a bit of a interim fix for the cargo pods, and not the actual fix that's needed for things like this ship and the Caterpillar, where loading and unloading that ship is going to be extremely, extremely jank, because of the fact that yeah, you're not at the same level as the actual area that you're loading. So you're going to be on the ground, but somehow you have to be able to put the box inside and know where you're placing it on the inside. So you can't really do that. And yeah, we've seen plenty of fan-made animations and things where, like, the doors would come down. You put all the cargo on the door, and then the door goes in, and it just kind of fits in the cavity that is the cargo hold. But CIG never went that route.
Point. Something that's only now becoming even more useful now that there's no magical local inventory to store things in. So you've got a ton of spots to throw in weapons or even...
Yeah, that was the Caterpillar, was the fan-made one, but it now could apply to this pretty easily, I think. Well, I don't think the angle of the animation would work, but yeah, I think you know what I mean.
Even suits if you so wish, though the suit part isn't quite in the game just yet. Upper-deck, though, is one of the best parts of the Carrack, and that's its Tier 2 medical bed. There aren't a lot of ships in the game that have this, and all of them are bigger, like the 890 Jump and the recently released Polaris. So to...
Yeah, and then the Terrapin medical variant got them. The thing about the med beds is, again, he's pointing out a, like, 1.0 feature, whereas the current med beds, you just set your spawn, you hit the backspace button, which kills your character, and then you respawn as a fresh new character instead of healing an injury. It's just easier, and there are injuries that a Tier 2 bed cannot fix. So if you get one of those, you just create a new character, essentially, which is totally an exploit and will totally get fixed at some point. Hey, Noodle.
Have one of these inside this ship is a fantastic have in a place where it's likely you're going to get hurt or even die. And if you don't know, you can set your respawn presently on Star Citizen medical beds, and this is one of the ships you can do it on. But you might notice that in both the medical bay as well as in the hallway as we step out, they both have a lot of windows that connect with other spaces in the ship, something that unfortunately is a bit lacking in some of the more recent ships that have come out for Star Citizen. And what this does is really connect you with the rest of the program and make the interior space feel a lot bigger. Or in the case of the habitation area, it actually connects you with the exterior of the ship, which is kind of a big deal in a ship that you're using to explore in. You kind of want to see what's going on.
This room sold me on the interior. This room sold me so hard. This just feels like, it makes the ship feel like a home. I don't know what it is, but that room is just so good. And if you like to play with other players, it just feels like this is the room you're going to hang out in.
Outside the ship.
And this is the room you would hang out in if you actually lived on a ship like this, right?
When you're not flying it. The well-sized mess hall with plenty of seating for the crew has a great panoramic view out the side of the ship. Whereas just opposite of that in the habitation area, you've got a place for playing pool alongside the beds that you can use to log off.
That's in the reclaimer.
And if you're a member of the crew, and, well, a place to take care of your hygiene, the bathroom. That's not in yet, but it's something that's coming in with 1.0 that will affect your gameplay. And then there's the captain's quarters, which also has a great window out onto the world outside, alongside a nice desk area for storing various knickknacks that you've collected on your travels, alongside the captain's own personal cabin and head, and storage, which is separate from the rest of the ship. And the storage here, like in the rest of the crew quarters, actually does work as a container with the present inventory system, another nice little touch that functions in the current version of the game. But this isn't the entire ship just yet. There's a whole nother deck with a bunch more cool stuff to look at. So let's step up to the more technical side of the ship, the technical deck. In the more forward section, there's a couple of really interesting pieces of program. One of them is a drone room. Now, drones aren't something we know much about, but we did find out that with 1.0, they're going to contribute to base building. So does that mean that the Carrack could potentially have the ability to do some light base building? It's
probably not. Drones are in more than just base building. There are mining drones, there are salvage drones, and there might be exploration drones. Who knows?
Seems like a distinct possibility if drones are interchangeable. But then just across from that is a workroom. Now, originally when this ship came out, we really didn't know what this was going to be used for. It was only speculation, but now, with the vision of 1.0 more realized, we can kind of get an idea of their imaginings for this space. With a 3D printer and a work desk, it likely means that we're going to be able to take in parts that we've gotten in mining or salvaging and use them to generate additional parts for the Carrack to keep it on the go while out in areas where there isn't a lot of services to repair a ship.
Except the size of the component that the Carrack uses, you cannot remove or replace while on the fly at this current time. That is something that they absolutely need to address for 1.0. So you cannot use this to fix your own ship. You could only use this to fix other smaller ships potentially at the moment, which makes absolutely zero sense. I think the point of a room like this is an exploration ship is spending most of its time in space, not on the planet's surface or at a space station. It's probably spent flying around space. So the idea would be to, repair anything that may have broken on the fly. So yeah, that's you guys are making excuses, but you guys are just making stuff up that isn't what I'm saying. But I think you all know that I'm right here, and I don't die on too many hills. I'm usually pretty open to hearing you guys out on this one. It has to change. The idea that level like size 1 and size 2 components can be removed and have all this just tactile special experiences to them, and then you can't do that on a size 3 or size 4 just doesn't make any sense and kind of breaks the immersion of the game. They will address it at some point, mark my words, because it's just dumb.
Being able to make your own fuses or make your own components even for small or even large ships. It's actually quite incredible that this ship has it because there are capital ships in the game that don't. It seems like, Redeemer. Again, the Carrack just has so much stuff in it, it kind of puts some capital ships that are planned or even in the game now a bit to shame. Returning aft, there's the landing bay for small snub-nosed fighters that I talked about before, again with windows for views onto it to connect you with that space and make the interior not feel so claustrophobic and give you a little bit of an idea of where you are on the ship and in space. Again,
the one thing I hate about it is the doors to enter and exit are so tiny that you can't fit any cargo through it.
Wish more ships would do. And then even further down towards the back of the ship is the engineering section of the ship, which is big enough to include plenty of space for the upcoming gameplay plan for engineering, where you're going to be replacing and repairing parts as you get into combat or just deal with general wear and tear while you're out exploring. And having all of this accessible on the interior just means it's going to be a heck of a lot easier for you to keep your ship going long term. Again, making the Carrack a perfect ship for going out into a location like Pyro, where there just aren't many places to stop and repair. Beyond that, one more deck up is yet another special deck for the Carrack specifically. It's a cartography deck. Now, this is one of the spaces we don't know much about. Cartography isn't yet a gameplay system that's been fully concepted by...
It's kind of been concepted now, because they showed how they at least envision it in the Squadron 42 demo, but yeah.
TIG. But the idea of being able to chart jump points and potential systems makes this space kind of connected to that functionality. So I suspect once they start figuring out how the whole jump point charting is going to work, then this space will come more into play. But it's nice to have for a ship that's going to go off onto the frontier. It's also on this deck, though, that we have access to some additional suit lockers and EVA airlocks to get out to the outside of the ship and do general work on the exterior or explore things that are in 0G. It also doubles as a fantastic
it's one of my favorite entrances to the ship.
Observation deck for the uppermost part of the ship. Now, though, let's return back to the bridge, where we'll go over the last cool space on board. This bridge is pretty unique for the Carrack as it's double-decked. The upper deck has a command position.
It's becoming, like, after this ship, it's actually becoming kind of like a quality of Anvil, right? I think the new Paladin has a similar...
which can pilot the ship when the pilot seat below isn't occupied, and it has two remote positions left and right to allow the occupants to control both the systems of the ship as well as the top turret above. On the lower deck are the three pilot and co-pilot seats. Now, some of these are a bit redundant, I imagine. I don't know what they're thinking about all of these systems, but with all the different modes being added into the game, different operator modes, I suspect each station will have more functionality in the future, like one for charting and scanning and another for dealing with engineering systems alone. It's hard to know, but there's a lot of flexibility in the Carrack, which gives CIG a lot of room to make improvements for it for the upcoming 1.0 changes. But if nothing else, one of the best parts of the bridge is just the view of the surroundings it gives you. Whether you're flying in space or above a planet's surface, the Carrack's bridge provides jaw-dropping 180-degree views of your surroundings. Again, a pretty nice feature to have on a ship that's made for exploring.
Is there a ship that comes to mind that has a better interior than this? Like, you might like the new Polaris, but there's no looks outside, right? The Herald. Okay.
And with so many beautiful places to visit in Pyro, well, again,
Intrepid,
it's just
Star
one of the better ships in the game to allow you to experience it. So you see, when you wrap all of this stuff together with the Carrack, it just makes it such...
Connie, get out. Get out.
An incredible package that's already existed in the game. Sure, it's not the newest kid on the block, it's not the new shiny, it's been around for a little while now. But now that Pyro is finally coming out, it's finally coming into its own, getting to a place where we imagined it would be when it was first released so many years ago now. So I guess what I'm saying here is don't get distracted by the new shinies. There's a lot of great new ships like the Polaris which offer alternatives for combat that is pretty exciting in specific scenarios. But if you're looking for an all-around ship to work up to in Star Citizen, to save for, to buy in tandem with your org mates, I think the Carrack should be pretty high on that list.
Yeah,
so
especially if the group is relatively small, like 5 people or so, right? I think it's a really nice ship for your kind of gang.
What do you think? Are you going to keep your Carrack? Did you trade it for something else and now regret it? Or did I open your eyes to a ship that you now really want to save for? Whatever your thoughts are, I want to know down below. And if you want to support me further, you can always check my Patreon out, which is the only way you can get your referral code featured here in my video to get a few extra ships. Plus some access to exclusive content. Cool. But that's it for now. I'll see you in Pyro.
I never even knew that. All right. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I will always love the interior of the ship, but I think that as time goes on, the function of the other ships are just significantly better and just do more. They've learned from mistakes that they may have made with ships like the Carrack, right? So it does make it a little difficult to look back at those oldies and still love them as much as you did when you first flew them, right? But yeah, really good video as always. And I don't know, maybe check out his architect reviews, the Corsair, because I think that that's another similarly experienced functionality wise ship, but is much smaller and maybe more affordable as well.